To me it is a riddle that Knut Wicksell, who for most of his life was a fanatical representative of extreme opinions in the social debate, could present a completely different personality in the scholarly context. During the period when I knew him, he was the diffident seeker after scientific truth. Bertil Ohlin. Knut Wicksell (1851–1926) was a highly influential Swedish economist known for synthesizing classical, Austrian, and Lausanne school ideas. He significantly contributed to marginal productivity theory, capital theory emphasizing time, and monetary theory, particularly his concept of the natural rate of interest and its divergence from the market rate as a driver of price level changes the cumulative process. Wicksell also made notable contributions to public finance, advocating for marginal benefit principles in taxation and public goods provision. His work laid the groundwork for the Stockholm School and influenced both Keynesian and Austrian economics. Knut Wicksell was born in Stockholm on December 20, 1851, into a middle-class family. His father was a relatively successful businessman and real estate broker. Tragedy struck early in his life as he lost his mother when he was only 6 years old, and his father passed away when he was 15. Despite these losses, his father's considerable estate ensured that Wicksell and his 4 siblings were financially secure enough to pursue higher education. In 1869, he enrolled at the University of Uppsala, initially focusing on mathematics and physics. He quickly earned his first degree in just 2 years, graduating cum laude, and continued with graduate studies in mathematics, eventually earning his doctorate in 1885. During his university years, Wicksell experienced a significant intellectual shift. Initially deeply religious after his father's death, he gradually developed doubts about his Christian faith, ultimately becoming a free thinker by the age of 23, a conviction he held for the rest of his life. Simultaneously, his interests broadened to encompass social and economic issues, particularly the interconnectedness of problems like drunkenness, prostitution, poverty, and overpopulation. He became convinced of the Malthusian idea that overpopulation exacerbated these social ills and even publicly advocated for birth control as a solution. For a period, Wicksell supported himself through journalism and independent study of economics. However, his growing interest in the field led him to seek formal training. He received travel grants in the mid and late 1880s, which allowed him to study abroad in London, Strasbourg, and Vienna. A pivotal moment occurred in Berlin when he encountered Eugen von Böhm-Bawerk's positive theory of capital, which significantly influenced his economic thinking. In Vienna, he attended lectures by Karl Menger, the founder of the Austrian School of Economics. Despite his burgeoning expertise, his radical social and political views initially hindered his attempts to secure an academic position upon his return to Sweden. He was advised to pursue a law degree to improve his chances of teaching economics, which he did with remarkable speed, completing the 4-year program in just 2 years. This dedication finally paved the way for his academic career, leading to a lectureship in economics at the University of Uppsala in 1899 at the age of 47. Malthusian advocacy and social reform. Wicksell was a vocal advocate for progressive social policies, including women's rights and education reform, particularly during the 1880s and 1890s. His Malthusian views on overpopulation and advocacy for birth control became prominent in the mid-1880s, when he began publicly lecturing and writing on these issues, notably after his studies abroad 1885 to 1889. Knut Wicksell's first major work was Value, Capital, and Rent, published in 1893. In this book, he analyzed and praised the Austrian theory of capital as elaborated by Eugen von Böhm-Bawerk, while also integrating it with marginal utility theory and elements of classical economics. One important area was public finance. In his 1896 work, Finanztheoretische Untersuchungen Studies in the Theory of Public Finance, Wicksell innovatively applied marginalist principles to the analysis of government taxation and expenditure. He argued for the benefit principle of taxation, suggesting that individuals should pay taxes in proportion to the benefit they receive from public goods and services. He also explored the concept of unanimity in public choice, suggesting that ideally, government spending decisions should have the unanimous consent of the taxpayers to ensure efficiency and fairness. While this ideal was difficult to achieve in practice, Wicksell's work laid the foundation for later developments in public choice theory. Knut Wicksell's next major theoretical contribution was in monetary theory, most notably articulated in his 1898 work Interest and Prices, originally published in German as Geldzins und Güterpreis. In this work, Wicksell developed his influential theory of the natural rate of interest and its relationship to the market rate of interest. He argued that divergences between these two rates drive the cumulative process of inflation or deflation. Specifically, if the market rate falls below the natural rate, investment will exceed saving, leading to an increase in aggregate demand and a rising price level inflation. Conversely, if the market rate rises above the natural rate, saving will exceed investment, causing a decrease in aggregate demand and a falling price level deflation. This theory provided a sophisticated understanding of the link between monetary factors and price level changes, moving beyond a simplistic quantity theory of money and emphasizing the role of credit and interest rates in economic fluctuations. Knut Wicksell's next major work was his two-volume lectures on political economy Föreläsningar I nationalekonomi, published in Swedish in 1901 Volume I, General Theory, and 1906 Volume II, Money. These lectures provided a comprehensive and systematic exposition of his economic theories, building upon his earlier works and integrating them into a broader framework. In Volume I, General Theory, Wicksell delved deeper into value theory, production, distribution, and capital accumulation. He offered a rigorous mathematical treatment of these topics, drawing on and synthesizing ideas from classical, Austrian, and Lausanne school thinkers. He further elaborated on marginal productivity theory and provided his own perspective on the theory of capital, engaging with the work of Bohm-Bawerk and others. Volume 2, Money, focused on monetary theory, expanding on the concepts introduced in Interest and Prices. Wicksell provided a detailed analysis of the functions and value of money, credit, and the price level. He further developed his theory of the natural rate of interest and its implications for price stability, offering a more comprehensive treatment of these ideas within the broader context of monetary economics. Furthermore, throughout his career, Wicksell remained an active participant in public debate and wrote extensively on contemporary economic issues, particularly concerning wartime inflation and post-war monetary problems following World War I. He offered insightful analyses and policy recommendations for how neutral Sweden could mitigate the negative economic consequences of the war. These writings, though often in the form of articles and pamphlets, further demonstrated his commitment to applying economic theory to real-world problems. Despite initial setbacks due to his radical views, Knut Wicksell secured a lectureship at Uppsala in 1899 and later became a professor at Lund University in 1901, where he remained until his retirement in 1916. During his tenure at Lund, he became a highly influential teacher, shaping the next generation of Swedish economists and solidifying his position as a leading figure in the field. Personal controversies and radicalism. Wicksell's radical views led to public controversies throughout the 1880s and 1890s, culminating in his imprisonment for blasphemous remarks in 1908. His outspoken atheism, anti-monarchist sentiments, and advocacy for birth control were particularly contentious during his early career 1880s to 1890s and delayed his academic appointment until 1899. Influence on modern monetary policy. Wicksell's ideas on the natural rate of interest, articulated in his 1898 work Interest and Prices, laid the foundation for modern central banking practices. His concepts began influencing monetary policy frameworks in the early 20th century, particularly after his ideas were adopted by the Stockholm School in the 1920s and 1930s. While not a direct influence, Wicksell's analysis of the divergence between natural and market interest rates and his focus on aggregate demand and supply dynamics indirectly influenced John Maynard Keynes. The Stockholm School, deeply rooted in Wickellian thought, developed macroeconomic concepts that later resonated with and contributed to the emergence of Keynesian economics. Wicksell's work, particularly his monetary theory and emphasis on dynamic processes, provided the essential foundation for the development of the Stockholm School of Economics. Prominent figures like Gunnar Myrdal and Bertil Ohlin built upon and extended Wicksell's ideas, contributing significantly to macroeconomic theory and policy. Knut Wicksell passed away on May 3, 1926, at the age of 74 in Sweden. He had been residing in Stockholm after his retirement from Lund University in 1916, where he continued to write and advise the government on financial matters. Even in his final days, he was actively engaged in his intellectual pursuits, working on an article concerning the theory of interest intended for a book honoring the Austrian economist Friedrich von Wieser. His death brought to an end the life of a highly influential figure in economics, though the full impact and recognition of his work, particularly in monetary theory, would largely be appreciated in the years following his passing. Knut Wicksell's rigorous theoretical contributions, particularly in monetary theory and public finance, have had a lasting impact on economics. His concepts like the natural rate of interest and the benefit principle continue to be central to macroeconomic and public finance debates, solidifying his place as a pivotal figure in the history of economic thought. Capitalism assumed that from the beginning all men are equal. If that were so, everyone would be equipped with the same working power, the same education and, above all, the same economic assets. Each person would then have only himself to blame if he did not succeed. Knut Wicksell. Reference and citation, Ackerman, J. 1933. Knut Wicksell, a pioneer of econometrics. Econometrica, 1-2, 113-118. https, www.jstor.org stable 190-7086. This paper highlights Wicksell's contributions to econometrics, emphasizing his methodological advancements and influence on economic modeling. Boyanovsky, M. 2009. Wicksell on the American Crisis of 1907. Journal of the History of Economic Thought, 31-4. https, dx.doi.org 10.2139 ssrn.1526457. This article examines Wicksell's 1908 Swedish article on the American financial crisis of 1907, where he distinguished between solvency, liquidity, and versatility in banking systems. It compares Wicksell's analysis to contemporary literature and Bagehot's approach to banking stability. Fester, A. 2016. Knut Wicksell and Ludwig von Mises on Money, Interest, and Price Dynamics. Journal of the History of Economic Thought Preprints, https, www.academyia.edu 2476149 Knut_Wicksell_An_Ludwig_von_Mises_on_Money_Interest_Dynamics. This paper compares Wicksell's and Ludwig von Mises' theories on money, interest, and price dynamics, tracing their shared intellectual heritage and exploring Wicksell's influence on Austrian economics. Johnson, M. 2015. Wicksell, Pareto, and Public Choice. Journal of the History of Economic Thought. https dx.doi.org 10.2139 SSRN.2701087. This article analyzes Wicksell's debate with Vilfredo Pareto on welfare economics, focusing on his unanimity rule and its relationship to Pareto's optimality. It traces the convergence of their ideas in the development of public choice theory. Yonan, L. 2022. The problems of inflation targeting originate in the monetary theory of Knut Wicksell. Working Paper 2022:8, Department of Economics, Lund University. https ssrn.com abstract equals 4099457. This paper argues that the theoretical foundation of modern inflation targeting stems from Wicksell's Interest and Prices 1898. It critiques the neo-Wickellian framework for neglecting asset markets, contributing to financial instability, and proposes reforms within a Wickellian framework.